Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation gathering. So glad you're all here to share this time together. Today we have Sarah St. Clair who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we're going to open it up for sharing. We end at 10:45. Over to you, Murray. To Sarah, please. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you, Teresa, Ian, and everyone at the Miracle Network. It's lovely to see my friends in the UK. It's been a while since I've been over. It's nearly 9 years since I was doing retreats there. But for me, it just feels very important to tune in and be connected whenever an opportunity like this comes. And so I was in prayer during the week and just tuning in to what might be up in the mind or what might be helpful to just look a little deeper at as we get this opportunity to come together in presence and prayer. And what was coming to my mind through a question actually that a friend had sent in was this idea he was expressing of, regardless how long it takes, his prayer is that God would not let him settle in greener pastures without going all the way. Somewhat afraid of being seduced and distracted by the world and the comfort of the world. And it really led me to this thought of comfort as a defense. And when I talk about it, I don't want anyone to think I'm taking their coffee away. I don't want anyone to think that we're going to be talking about anything that impinges on sacrifice. More the discomfort to be embraced of those fallow moments where we find ourselves with an opportunity to either respond in defense and distract and do something to overcome the disquiet, or to sit a little longer and to feel the sensations and to experience and name and then release even the naming of what might be arising for us. So I have a couple of little passages from the Course to look at in relation to this. But first I want to go into the spontaneous writing that came in response to his question. The comfort of this world does not imbue peace, and therefore will never settle your spirit falsely. A moment's quiet in this restless space, and you will see that it is impossible to deny the rub, that raw ache that calls for home. Allow these tiny pricks of disquiet to ignite a passion, a movement in the mind that at once despises restriction and transcends limitation. No earthly nest you could ever build would shelter you from salvation or keep you from life's longing for itself. The shroud of shoulds in which you cover your shame is unwarranted and unwieldy on this naked innocence that craves the gentle warmth of the sun. No resolution is found here. Roaming and ruminating upon the earth, there is no safe haven. Yet if we accept we are lost and miss our shepherd, then we are instantly returned to the fold. Because unprepared, the soul is found, startled by grace and embraced by spirit. And I just feel it's very important that we come into alignment and awareness of the simplicity of salvation and the simplicity of our part. Our part is so small that we aggrandize it by doing more. And the passage in A Course in Miracles of the I need do nothing is so important because it's literal. It's literal. In every moment where we feel this obedience to what I would call the overlord, to respond, to communicate, to do something, to say something, to be something, to try harder, In all of those moments, we are acting out of discomfort and falsely trying to assuage and comfort ourselves when only the comforter and the remembrance of our true identity in Christ will suffice. So inevitably, this is what I was sharing with him, in a moment of complete disillusionment and awareness of the paltry efforts we make, we yield. At once exhausted and exalted by our own futile attempts, we exhale and collapse in our total God dependence, resistant no more to his last judgment. Surrendered as spirit, we give up the ghost. And so it feels so valuable to be able to sit in that disquiet when it arises and see that it is coming purely from a motivation to defend, because we have beliefs and desires that things should be different than they are. And everything is coming as like an itch to scratch, a temptation to want to be other than the truth of who we are in those moments. And so this idea of an overlord, this idea of this captivating force that is iron overlaid, that puts the cold irons on our heart in those moments when we truly don't need to be brave or courageous, but simply call upon the Lord and ask for help and ask for his presence. For it's in his strength that our weakness becomes our strength, because we're not depending upon anything that is a defense. We're not depending upon anything that is an illusion fighting an illusion. So this piece is from lesson 153. And it's in my defenselessness, my safety lies. And I just have a few passages that I want to allude to so that we can think of all of the running around that we're always doing that is so unnecessary. And for these 20 minutes, as we join together in silence, we can draw back from the belief that salvation is another time, that salvation is another place. And we can come with holy empty arms unto our God. Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems to be an idle dream, beyond the possible. The sense of threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive, that you have no idea of all the devastation it has wrought. You are its slave. You know not what you do in fear of it. You do not understand how much you have been made to sacrifice, who feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. For you behold the Son of God as but a victim to attack by fantasies, by dreams, and by illusions he has made, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense, by still more fantasies and dreams, by which illusions of his safety comfort him. And it is these illusions of safety that comfort us. These OCD requirements we make up so that we can rest and relax and be reassured by a caveat we've put in place. That has nothing to do with salvation. It has nothing to do with the comforter or the care and the love to which we're entitled. It just blocks it from our awareness. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that a choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness, seen apart from him. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great, attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. And so we've all become too sleepy to remember what we want. And we are fighting this tiredness every day with comfort, a comfort that can never bring us any relief or relaxation in the mind because it's a defense against the truth. Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied the Christ and come to fear his Father's anger. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? What but illusions could defend you now when it is but illusions that you fight? And so as we come into this meditation, and I'm going to get Teresa to ring her gong for us now, I want you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable and rest back. And I will guide you simply with a few words into that silence, because there is no reason to delay. There is no reason to do anything but stand plainly, to stand with nothing, with no future, no forgiveness even ahead of us. Because if we accept the forgiveness that's already been given, that's our function. There is nothing for you to do except accept that and come into the stillness and the presence and the relaxation and the trust that God is good enough, so you don't have to be. Thank you, Teresa. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness, we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation, sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world. Be still a moment, and in silence, think how holy is your purpose, how secure you rest, untouchable within its light. God's ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Who is holier than they? Who could be sure that this happiness is fully guaranteed? And who could be more mightily protected? What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen ones of God, by his election and their own as well? Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions, and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. let us not wander into temptation. The temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given, and accept but this into the minds which you created and which you love. Amen.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have 12 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hands, or you can use the electronic hand at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. And if you'd like to ask Sarah a question or a comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Sandy, take yourself off mute.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for that. That was really very powerful for me. I'm obviously getting this is the third message that's telling me about discomfort is the gateway, and I'm realizing that my humanness has a problem with that, and it struggles with it. But when I was coming into this meditation, it was being revealed to me that, you know, as you were saying, that we don't need to do anything. It's just our willingness to offer it up, saying, okay, I just need to be with this, not do anything. It will be undone. And of course, the ego is shouting quite loudly. I've noticed it's getting noisier and noisier as I'm going deeper and deeper. But perhaps it's just always been noisy. I'm just more aware of what's happening, the triggers now. So yeah, that was really, really beautiful, because it was just saying, just keep going in. Every time that comes up, keep coming in. And that the ego mind wants to question, you know, the comfort, you know, well, isn't comfort good? But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means, you know, the discomfort are triggers where we are obviously needing to go and look at those things. So thank you. That was a really beautiful meditation.
Yeah, thank you for that. I actually feel that it gets more intense closer you get to being able to just give that over completely, and that then the comfort gets used more as a balm medicinally, you know, good use of magic through the spirit. And it's a bit like our willingness to be comforted first rather than comfort ourselves is all we're going for. So we're not letting go of comfort at all. We're choosing, though, to be comforted by the right one, and the one who knows what's best for all in every circumstance. And I think that understanding that you're only going for a higher comfort short term starts to help with the giving way. Eventually the release is just too much and it's too futile, that we would really rather sit with the sting than reach for whatever defensive thought pattern even we would imagine would be helpful, justification, or, you know, well, they did this and then I did that, or, you know, the way the thoughts mount up in the mind. But just to see, like you're experiencing, you're sharing, that none of that, you can just watch all of those things go on too, and that none of that's yours either, you know, and take away all that false responsibility, because we only need comfort for the amount of false responsibility we've taken on that is not our job. So yeah, wonderful. I could feel everyone doing that during the meditation.
Yeah, thank you. That's really, really helpful. I like that. You know, we're allowing that comforter to come from the right source. That helps me to let go of that other bit. That's brilliant. Thank you.
There's a message in chat that says, that was a really powerful session. Thank you. Please can Sarah share the amazing reading that she started with?
Sure. It's on my Facebook page. You mean put it in chat? But that was just a writing that came through in response to asking what was up for healing in the mind for anyone. It was just a sentence that a friend of mine wrote back, and this writing just came through. So I have it just posted online if anyone wants to read the full writing. So that's the way it is for me. I feel like even in response to this question at the end, it's so helpful for me because it comes in response. I don't have anything to say or teach anyone or talk about otherwise. It's just, and for me, it feels like a blessing. It's like, oh, that's so helpful. I'm hearing it at the same speed and moment. It's not a preconceived thought or idea. And I love joining for that purpose with everyone, to hear and to be settled and comforted.
Who would like to share? John, take yourself off mute.
Hi, Sarah. Excuse me. Yeah, I'd like to echo what Sandy said there. It was beautiful. For me, it was beautiful. And it was just a wonderful reminder of the peace of doing nothing. And for me, it was the hardest thing for me at the beginning, because I had believed that all my worth was derived from doing something, getting a good job, earning the money, looking after the family. So I was a compulsive doer. And at the beginning, it's like you said, that was the most frightening thing, was just to sit and learn. And my ego used to battle. So it's a great reminder about that beautiful, almost unspeakable feeling when you let the inner guide be your comforter. And it reminded me, I'm sure many of you have seen that movie Eat, Pray, Love, where the Italian guy is in the barber shop and he's telling Julia Roberts, that the Americans, he said, you Americans, you know pleasure, but you don't know joy. And he mentions about the Italian phrase, dolce far niente. And I loved it because it means the sweetness of doing nothing. And so often that it's just beautiful. It's beautiful to be reminded about that. I need do nothing of my own thought, and let the guidance. And the other thing was interesting in that automatic writing that you did. You mentioned OCD, I think, if I heard you correctly, and realizing what OCD really is. I know it's been classified as it is, but it's really comes from that discomfort of not doing something. So yeah, it was beautiful. Very, very great reminder. So thank you for that.
Nick, take yourself off mute.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, everyone that's here. It's this joining in this session is just a lesson in itself to me, in just how when we do surrender to Spirit, and Spirit works through us in a way that not only helps us but helps everybody present. And it's these moments of joyful sharing, really, that our ego might distract from them, but they're unforgettable, and it's always there. It's sometimes I know that I can get too involved in looking at sort of the resistance that still seems to be there, but it's at the end of the day, it's the light that shines away the darkness. So these moments of joining, I think, are healing, as one, so to speak, rather than something we take individually. But it's a blessing. And thank you, Sarah. You're a blessing. You're a great gift to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I keep hearing and feeling this sense of, it doesn't matter whether it seems to be a call or a response, it's a round, it's a constant round, and a love of the Father for the Son. And it just keeps echoing like that song of prayer over and over and over again. It's just in those moments of distress or disquiet and discomfort is to start humming and to come back into the remembrance that it's just that, whether it's just a whelp that comes out of us in some moments, or whether it's to hell with it that comes out of us, whatever it is. If you remember, like Job in the Bible, that Job was seen as loyal to God always, because no matter how much he grumbled, he kept it as a discussion with God. It was a conversation which he never ended, which he kept going, which he kept imploring and talking about. And it's a conversation that we want to come back to, a reconciliation and a heartfelt love, and remember that God just wants always to hear from us, that the Spirit is there in our ear and in our hearts. And so whatever sound comes out, it will be responded to. It's merely that we offer it to the one who can give us true comfort, rather than the one that will give us solutions and fixes and, fighting for another day.
Marguerite, would you like to take yourself off mute and ask a question or comment?
Sure. I just want to thank everyone for being here, because I felt how helpful it was to really come together and be so strong in holding the purpose. And despite the fact that I do feel fear to speak right now, because I have this belief that I don't know any of you except for Sarah, but that's exactly why I'm speaking up. But and it's funny as I say it. I just wanted to share the experience that I had so many yes buts come up, yes but, and I just asked very gently, like, what's underneath it, and it was just a deep fear of being touched by God. And at that moment, because there weren't any specific stories, it didn't go any further than yes but. So underneath that was just a deep fear of being touched by God, and knowing that's still the ego. And at that moment, I have 3 dogs here. One dog came to sit with me, and I started to pet it, and I looked at the dog, but I was still deeply in meditation, and I saw how grateful the dog was that I was touching it. And that really allowed many tears to come up. It's still going. And I could really feel, and I don't mean this I truly mean this in a humble way. I could feel that it was being done for everyone, for all of us. And I just want to say thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Take yourself off mute and show your appreciation to Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.